Can everybody hear me okay? Everything's blasting me out? Cool. Anybody go out on a storm last night or this morning?
We got some still out.
Oh, some still out, I understand, yeah. Well, I will apologize right now if I'm a little bit rusty. It's been a year ago December since I've been able to do any speaking because of the COVID thing.
Everybody here clear?
And that was in New Mexico. It was the last time I spoke, and I did a 4 co-op tour. That's pretty cool. I got to go see Roswell, New Mexico. You know, I think that's where the aliens and stuff was. I got my picture taken by an alien and stuff. With me standing there, they kind of wanted to keep me there. They kind of thought I blended in pretty good down there, you know. But like Doug said, today's Jerry Kinney, I work at Wayne White County's Electric Cooperative. I am very blessed to have an awesome wife, as you can imagine. She's an awesome lady, solid rock for me, because imagine what she's been through. You know, and she has never left my side, never wavered, never complained about anything that she had to do for me. So, you know, I always give shout out to her, because I wouldn't be the level I am, I don't think, without her in my life. And got 2 awesome boys, 36 and 30, and you know, I miss my job. I don't know about this community, but I know the community I live in, a job like a cooperative like that was the best job you could have for a person who didn't really have a whole lot of education. You know, I knew how blessed I was to have that job. And I miss it every day still. If there was any possible way I could do something to go right back to what I was doing, I did instantly. I miss it that much. And, you know, I always, right off the start, like to share with, you know, these are just my thoughts and my story. You know, I'm in no way trying to say, this is the way you need to do something, or this is the way things need to be done. That's not my intent. My intent is just to share the story and the things that I went through and the way I tried to get through my career and stuff. So just try to keep that in mind. I'm in no way trying to say this is the way it needs to be done, because that's not for me to decide, right? But, you know, on July 16th, 2015, I remember getting up that morning thinking, yes, make it through the day. My wife and I went on a 10-day vacation. We loved to ride 4-wheelers. We already had our trip booked to West Virginia, Hatfield McCoy Trails. I don't know if you've heard of them. There's awesome riding there, and they just keep getting bigger all the time. So, you know, I get up that morning thinking, man, make it through the day. 10 days off, riding 4-wheelers for the next 4 or 5 days. It's going to be awesome. I could not wait. You know, and then I got to work, went in 8 o'clock, we go in and get our jobs and job descriptions and stuff for the day, you know, and got all the jobs that was going to do that day. And I was looking at them and I was going, oh man, it's getting better. It's getting better. It's going to be an easy day also. I mean, son of a gun, there is, excuse me. We was basically going to do some cleanup work from the storm we had that weekend before. You know, maybe a meter pole that we roped up. But the first job was actually to put a neutral up in private right-of-way. We had, me and another guy had got the phase back up, but it was just me and him, and that night, and a lot of times, especially during storms, if, you know, we try to get neutrals up if we can, but if it's something that's going to take a lot of manpower and a lot of time, we might leave neutrals down, especially on a single phase or something. So we was basically going to go back and put a neutral back up. So we had a 4-man crew that day. We actually had a 3-man crew and a serviceman, an outpost guy that was going to be there to help us. And we got there, looked over the job, walked it all out. There was basically 2 spans of wire, or 2 spans of neutral, I should say. It started out on a road, come across private right-of-way, and actually up to a house that was still in private right-of-way. We set a truck up out on the road. It was in an area that we live in, what you call a pretty woolly area. You know, a lot of brush, hills, hollers, that type of thing. And so we set the digger truck up out on the road with flashing lights, set all the cones and signs out, because it was on a pretty big sweeping curve. So we was worried about traffic a little bit. Even though there wasn't much traffic, it would have been hard to see anything until you got there. We got all the wire laid out. We was going to get it. One guy was going to have to climb the pole, and I was able to get my truck There was actually a transformer pole that I would love to set up on, but I could not reach it. It's still in private right of way. But I was able to get close enough that I was probably within 40 feet of that pole. So basically what I was going to do is I was just going to pull the neutral up 40 feet out away from the pole. No big deal, right? You know, just a little more inconvenient. And so I got my truck set up. The guy got on the pole with his hand line and stuff, and they run the wire up to him. He got it laid on the spool and everything. And I pulled up most of the slack of the neutral out with my winch line, caught it in a hoist, and remember giving it a few clicks and getting up, and I hollered at that guy on the pole to see how his screen looked on his side, and he couldn't hear me while I was brushing down over a hill, and I remember booming up a little bit so I could see him better and holler at him. And I asked him how his span looked, and he says, well, you can go up a couple more clicks. So I gave a couple more clicks, and right before we was getting ready to pull the wire up, here comes a car around the curve, of course, right? So we had to wait for him to go. And I remember booming up and hollering at Clint down on the road that a car was coming. Get ready, don't bring the wire up yet. You know? So are you getting the idea? There's 2 times now that I've boomed up a little bit. Probably without even thinking almost. And so when Kel had said, everything looks good, go ahead and make it up, I remember doing this like this right here to tell him to tie it in. And believe it or not...
Hey, Jerry, can I stop you for a
Yes.
second? This is a severe thunderstorm warning. I don't know. Maybe we should head back up to the office for while this goes through. Possible 6-mile-an-hour winds and inch hail in the next couple minutes. We just ride it out here.
I bet you're doing that.
I don't know. We'll find out again. Is it going to get so noisy you can't hear anything or not? If it starts raining hard? Maybe everybody running in the rain. I think you've got a while to go, don't you?
Huh?
You've got a while.
I'm probably still maybe 20 minutes out.
Yeah. I don't know. Just bring it up.
Hey, you want to rock, paper, scissors for me?
I think it's just gonna be wind and some hail, and it may get a little noisy, so it'll probably be fine. Yeah. Okay.
We're going to go for it?
Let's go for it.
I like your spirit. If we all get blown off, be looking for these arms. Okay? Yes. And I don't have one of them beepers on like my phone where I can find them. Okay? Sweet. Okay. Okay, back to the accident, okay? So, I'd made the sign for the guy to tie in, and believe it or not, it was probably a good 30 seconds or better. I don't know how long it took. But I remember after giving him a high sign, I reached for the handle of the bucket to move the bucket, and my hand wouldn't work. I couldn't figure out why my hand wouldn't work. I got it off the handle and got my left hand on the handle. I could not make it work either. And now I was starting to get frustrated. I could not understand why my hands weren't working. And about that time I looked down, and I was wearing a long sleeve shirt, but just had on my leather gloves. I looked down, and I seen the color of my skin, and it was definitely discolored. And I go, did I just get into that? And about the time, the pain started coming in my arms. And I am telling you what it is horrendous. It is a pain you cannot describe. As a matter of fact, I was telling them whenever whoever got there showed up, just put me out. I was wanting to put out. But in that process of me trying, and I realized what had happened, I didn't realize that they said I'd slid down the bucket, and I was like, see, my hard hat kind of above the top of the bucket. Well, I thought I was screaming at the top of my lungs for somebody to come get me. And they said even when I was on the ground, I was just a faint whisper, even when I thought I was talking loud to them. So, but there was a lot of things that went on there. The guy on the ground, we had a groundman for the guy on the pole. He'd already got his tie wire sent up to him on the hand line. So he was already kind of headed up the hill to me just to maybe clean up the area if I threw down a sleeve wrapper or whatever, and pick up a loose piece of wire. So he's kind of already headed up that direction to me. But when he seen that, Why, they started hollering at me and was getting no response. So it was, the first guy that got there immediately was getting my bucket down. I mean, immediately. And by the time I think got down, another guy was there, and bucket rescue. It was pretty awesome. They knew where all the controls were. They knew everything to do to get me out of that bucket. And, there was, to me, many blessings that day, and the fact of, for one thing, I cannot imagine what them guys were going through. The guys that tell me. The panic they was under, the stress they was under. But they just went right through it like nobody's business. Getting me down and everything, getting calls and stuff made to get help on the way. Well, we have radios in our truck, but the guys didn't want to call on the radio because my wife worked at the co-op. They did not want her to hear that over the radio system. So they called me in. But, I don't know about this community. Fairfield's a small community. She knew about it within 30 seconds probably after it would have been on the radio. That's just how it rolls, right? And I can remember her, she said her going back and asking her boss who was injured. She didn't know who it was yet. But, we didn't have our laptops in our truck yet or our GPSs and stuff, but, my operations manager knew the exact coordinates to give for that helicopter to land. I think a helicopter would be able to see 3 big white trucks on the ground, but they didn't have to look for them. They had an exact coordinate to go to. And another thing I think was a blessing that day is this chopper, Aerovac, was over in Mount Vernon. They had already fired up and was getting ready to lift off to go do a fireman's funeral flyover. They do that a lot for EMTs and stuff. They do flyovers and so they was already warmed up, getting ready to lift off, and when they got the call to me, how much time did that save? So you see what I mean? I mean, the guys got me down quick. Operations manager gave exact coordinates. I was lucky in the fact that the chopper was already warmed up and ready to go. If it didn't save my life, at least saved the inches on my arms. Because in that situation, time is super critical to get to a burn unit, to start getting everything shut down and get it going. I spent 5 weeks in the Mercy burn unit. In the burn unit, I underwent 9 surgeries. And 3 days after I arrived there, is when I decided to move my hands. And I can remember thinking, why did I allow that accident to happen? And it's funny that I've been out and speaking a lot now to a lot of people, and they say, what? Seems like we notice a lot of accidents around somebody going on vacation or somebody getting ready to retire. Kind of 2 times you're maybe letting your guard down, maybe your mind is on something else that you didn't realize it was. But what brought it home to me was the flight nurse on the Aerovac chopper. I've talked to him a few times since the accident, and he said, you'll never will forget me. He said, for one thing, because I stayed conscious the whole way. And he said, I never will forget you, you didn't stop talking the whole way. He said, but I remember the first thing he asked me, he said, put me out. Just put me out. And I told you, I said, Jerry, believe it or not, you're exactly like we find our victims. You're conscious, your heart's beating, and you're breathing. So we're going to do everything to maintain you through, but we're not going to let you out. We will try to give you everything we can to minimize it, but we're not letting you out. And he says the very next thing I told him, I said, my wife's going to kill me, we're going on vacation tomorrow. So how much was that weighing on my mind? If I'm in a situation like this right here, and I'm imagining pain, and that's one of the first things that popped out of my mouth, how much was that on my mind that morning? I remember getting up that morning thinking I couldn't wait, and thinking, Friday, the next day I've got to get the full motor serviced and get the trailer ready, But I don't remember thinking when I was up there working online that I was thinking about all that stuff. But it must have been doing something to me. It did a couple things, because the one thing that it did for me, and it was hard for me to get over, is I felt like I let everybody down. I let everybody down. Because believe it or not, I was considered the safest guy there. We did everything right. We had job description, tailgate. Everybody had hard hat, say, I mean, you know, and I let everybody down. And I get back to thinking, you know, I broke a bunch of one-on-one rules that I learned when I was a apprentice. You know, first thing they tell you is that, hey, when you're working a neutral, it should be here or higher, right? You know, work a neutral above you. You know, when I realized that neutral was starting to get in this area, was that a warning sign? That was, wasn't it? Another thing is, I remember them saying, hey, when you're up there in the bucket, don't be waving at any of them pretty girls when they go by. Why's that? What I do? Here. You know? Broke two of the simplest rules. Could not believe it. Could not believe it. You know, was I a little complacent? Yeah. I've done this job hundreds of times. Witnessed it done 100 times. Wasn't going to be no trouble. Just fire right through it. Wasn't going to be no big deal. Complacency got me, which in a sense led to my lack of awareness of where I was, right? But you know, everybody asked me, well, why didn't you have your rubbers on? You know, we'd always have our rubbers on with neutrals if it was under 3-phase or under transmission. A lot of times on single phase, just put the neutral back together. When we was up in the bucket, we didn't have our rubbers on. Didn't ever think about it. I'd seen it done for years and years that way. You know. And believe it or not, it is no fun to talk to an ocean inspector on an accident. It's a long, drawn-out process. But by the time we got done, he basically said the only thing that went wrong on that day was I got it within the minimum approach distance, which I did. You know, and you know, people's asked, did your co-op go from blood cradle to cradle? And no, they have not. But I can tell you right now, I bet there's not a line there who put their gloves on no matter what kind of neutral they're working on. So, you know. You know, another thing that probably happened to me that day was, have you ever heard the expression, don't take your work home with you and don't bring your home life to work? That's pretty hard to do, isn't it? Pretty hard to do. I remember that week before, I had just 2 months before I had vestibular neuritis, which causes you to crawl around on the ground for about 2 weeks because you cannot stand up. It messes your equilibrium up. So I'd spent almost a month and a half off of work just to be able to get my balance back. So, you know, you go back to work and you think, when's that going to hit again? Because when it hit me, it was just like that. So you've got that in the back of your mind. Is that ever going to do that again? You know, I was at home when it did the first time. They said, odds are it'll never happen again, but you always got it in the back of your mind, right? We had a big family gathering the week before where I was busy doing stuff. The weekend before my accident, I was in the emergency room passing a kidney stone. So do you think I was ready for a vacation? You bet I was. I could not wait for this vacation. I mean, it was probably the vacation I was waiting for the most I ever had because of all the things that happened to me already that year. So did that lower my lack of awareness in that job? The job I was doing? Yeah, I believe it did. You know, after 5 weeks in the burn unit, I then went 2 weeks to the Mercy Rehab. And believe it or not, before they let you go home, you have to lay face down on the floor and get yourself up and get yourself in a chair. Now, that's pretty hard to do without hands. It's really hard to do with what you have left is still bandaged up and as big as your legs. And you cannot even touch it. But believe it or not, within just a few days, I was able to get myself up off the floor to get in the chair because I could not wait to get home. Could not wait to get home. And it was excruciating, the things they put me through there. Could not wait to get home. You know, I know that's cooperative, but I'd like to share some of the things the cooperative that I work for did for Denise and I, because, you know, when my accident happened, they basically lost 2 employees now, didn't they? Because my wife was probably going to be able to take care of me, right? You know? And when I was in over to burn unit, they allowed probably 2 to 3 people every day to come over to visit us on company time. They knew they was going to be over there anyway. Operations manager said, I pretty well shut everything down other than the bare necessities that we had to do for the first couple of weeks anyway, because we didn't want nothing. Because it hit us hard. It hit them really hard. But by them coming over, being able to get to visit with me and see me, and see my attitude and my, optimism and stuff, that helped them tremendously too. Just as much as it helped Denise and I. Another thing is the employees from that co-op brought out supper to us every night for 6 weeks when we got home. How awesome is that? Isn't that crazy? Before every surgery I had, they would gather in the wardroom to have prayer for us. I think it worked. Denise was quickly going to run out of vacation and sick time, right? Pretty obvious. They allowed her they moved the whole computer and everything, and we updated our Wi-Fi and stuff, internet speed, and they allowed her to work from home, to do her job from home. And that was probably for about 4 to 5 months. So how awesome is that? And I like to think that most co-ops I've been to is a kind of family-oriented type thing anyway, and that's the way it worked anyway. I really do. Do families have spats? Do they argue? Yeah. But do they always back each other up? Yeah. That's the way I look at it. With safety, I always think it starts at the very top. And when I say top, I mean board of directors. But it instills an atmosphere. If you can get that kind of atmosphere going to start at the top, then it automatically trickles down, I believe. Giving you the tools you need to work, giving you the practices you need to work safely, all that type of stuff. And we had one of them boards. When you asked for something, did you have to explain why you wanted it or whatever? Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. But they never failed to give us the stuff that we needed to make our job safer, and a lot of times, especially easier. All our battery-powered tools we got now, how awesome them things. I think of battery-powered tools as not only easing injuries as far as elbows and shoulders. Which would you rather be doing when you're gloving? Would you be having a big hammer up or swinging something, or one staple guns up there? Or a squeeze wrench that you just hold, maybe whatever you're holding and squeeze instead of one of them big old wrenches we used to use like this, and you're spreading it out, 2 feet, all that stuff to me just helped tremendously. I'm sure you have a safety person or safety personnel and stuff like that. You need to think of it. It's a tough job. It's a thankless job. It sure is. He might be giving you ideas of things to do, and you're like, Was you lineman before? Yeah. That helps. The ones that weren't linemen before, it's even harder for them to push safety off. It really is. But man, I tell you what, don't give up. I'm telling you. But it's the repetition to me that gets you better stuff. You guys do hurt man about every year? We always did it every year, bucket rescue, that type of stuff, And I look at it as a repetition that makes it muscle memory then. Because like I said earlier, I can't imagine how much stress them guys were under. But they knew what to do exactly. It was nothing that they didn't already know what to do, And so I believe the muscle repetition, that type of stuff, did it. I don't know that the mudboard and passages beatings or anything did much for us. I'm just saying. I'm sure they did. Yeah. No, but, I was a foreman when I had my accident. So I was even more critical on tailgate discussions and briefings, whatever you might call them. And are you guys pretty adamant on your briefings and stuff before a job? I was very adamant. We'd have one before we left the shop to for one thing, make sure we had everything we needed. And then another one when we showed up on the site. And I encouraged and loved input from everybody. Whether it was a 20-year veteran or a guy that showed up on the job that day. Now, I didn't have to listen to any of it, but I liked the input. Because I tell you what, it's been amazing. I had some apprentices come up with some pretty good ideas just because they was thinking out of the box and they weren't thinking this is the way we've done it for 30 years. So I love the input from everybody around me. And I hope you're like that too, because it's amazing some of the ideas that you can get from the input from somebody like that. Do you believe if somebody has an idea and you go, nah, don't be quiet, I don't listen to that? Well, they eventually going to start doing it. They're going to just shut up all together, aren't they? And that might be the day they have the best idea of the bunch. But you just shut it down because you said, no, I don't need your apprentice, I don't need to listen to you. I'm the foreman. You know, hope you're all listening to everybody. I really do. And leading by example. That's the best way to go. Lead by example. You know, if you're the guy out there without the hard hat and the safety glasses, then your whole crew's probably going to be that way, right? You know, we never had a problem. Hey, Jerry, you forgot your hard hat. Oh, man, thank you. It wasn't like I was not wanting to put it on. I jumped out of the truck and forgot it. A lot of times I just forget to put stuff on. But we was always in that room of helping each other out. But, you know, it is kind of amazing how long you go around without a pair of safety glasses on or a hard hat and not even realize it, isn't it? Until somebody says something about it. And, but I believe it's the muscle memory, tailgate. Knowing equipment, do you guys, where I worked, we kind of had truck bids, so basically I run a bucket truck. It was a certain, they call it truck 2. So, you know, I can keep all my gear on there all the time, you know. But we knew each other's equipment. Even though I was primarily responsible for this bucket truck, I had no problem jumping on a digger, running a digger, setting a pole. Was I as good as the guy that the digger operator did it every day? No. But, you know, there'd be times you go out in a storm and couldn't find nobody. I couldn't say I can't go out. I just run a bucket truck only. No. You know, you go out and set poles. You didn't do as good as the guy did it all the time, but you did it. So, and we was always switching up in a 4-man crew, especially when we had apprentices coming out, allowing them to do what they could do. Let them run the digger for a while. Let them go up and hang a transformer. And actually, for me, it's kind of refreshing sometimes to be able to do some groundwork every now and then. You know, so we loved it. We knew it. We knew each other's equipment very good. And to me, if you show up on a job and you don't know how to run any kind of piece of equipment there, I hope you take the time to ask somebody, hey, I'm not familiar with that piece of equipment. Could you just give me a quick rundown? Because, you know, if you're the guy that's up there, wouldn't you want that guy down there to know how to get it down? I think I would. You know, another thing is, do you know where all your AEDs and your first aid kits start off on your truck? Do you have stickers on your truck that tells you where they're at? Let me ask you this. If you're in a panic mode, are you looking for the sticker? Do you know exactly where it's at? Because we've had some trucks that had that pretty sticker on there, and you open the door, and whatever reason, some things got moved, and it wasn't even locked with the sticker was on. You know, so I think it's a good idea. If you're around a truck you've never been around, go around and open some locker doors, see where everything's at. You know, I mean, them guys knew exactly where everything was on my truck. And then I'm running. I mean, they run it briefly, but they get around it and run it. So I think knowing the equipment is essential. Do you have any apprentices?
Lots. 9.
Man, oh man, son of a gun, a plethora. Yeah, awesome. I hope you're asking lots of questions. I hope you're asking questions, especially when you don't understand what's going on. Because I think any foreman would want to make sure you knew what was going on. Don't you? And don't you want to know what's going on and be kind of clear? Will you get it exactly perfect? No, you won't. Will you get the clear understanding? Maybe not off the bat, but you still have an understanding of what you're getting ready to do. The thing I love about tailgate discussions is you can have a tailgate discussion and you knew this guy was going to do that and that guy was going to do that. It was pretty easy when you had a discussion. You look down there and that guy wasn't doing what you just talked about. That gives a flag, right? It's like, what's that guy doing down there? You know, now if he's kind of between locker doors or something, you know what that is. Yeah, that's a break. But, you know, besides that, it's like, you know, maybe I need to go see what's going on. Because it's pretty easy to get into a job and go, oh, heck, while I'm here, I'll just do this or this and this. And before you know it, you get way outside the realm of what your job was. So, you know, apprentices, ask tons and tons of questions. Don't be afraid to say, hey, need glasses, need hard hat, whatever. And the main thing I tell apprentices is don't take it personal when you get yelled at. This is a tough job. Don't have a thin skin. Get a thick skin. Most of the time when you're getting yelled at is for your benefit. Are there people that are natural yellers? Yes, there is. I work with one. But I was accustomed, that's just the way he was. You know? It was no big deal, I got accustomed to that. But most of the time, they're doing it probably for your safety more than anything, or before you mess something up. So don't take being yelled at personally, please. That's the first thing I tell every apprentice, because, man, some of these guys nowadays, because I've been teaching at a college course down here, young individuals that want to be where you guys are right now. You know, and they knew when I yelled at them, they better stop right now. They didn't get used to the constant yelling. They just knew when I raised my voice, something, they was either getting in a bad spot or they was doing something way completely wrong. You know, and so I tried to develop them with a tough skin. You know, because they're going to have it. So don't take it personally, honest. We was always good. Foremen, apprentices, whoever, we was good. We could have what you'd think would almost be knocked down, drag out arguments over stuff. And at the end of the day, you want to go fishing? Okay, let's go. You know, end of the day, it's behind us. Tomorrow's a new day. Let's start fresh. You know, never hold a grudge, never take it personally, is what I always said. And I never did. I might for 5, 10, 15 minutes, I might take it a little personal, but I got over it and past it. You want to get to the neater stuff? My prosthetics? I mean, because honestly, I put these things on every day and I'm still amazed at what I can do and what I'm able to do. These prosthetics have gave me total independence. I travel all over the United States, I go anywhere I want to go, I do whatever I want to do. Do I do it as good as I used to or as fast? Nope, sure don't. But you know, prosthetics has come so, just in the 5 years that I've been wearing them, it's amazing how far they've come. Main thing is battery life. You know, used to I can only wear them 6, 8 hours and I'd be dead. You know, I can get full days out of it, which is awesome. You know, we had time, I'd bring in some of my other stuff. We might, after the storm goes through maybe. But, you know, these are what you call myoelectrics. So, as you can tell, no cables, right? I still have the cables. I still have the cables and the old hooks like you see all the old timers wear. And believe it or not, I wear them things almost all the time outdoors. They're a lot lighter. Don't have to worry about so much getting wet and dark and all that. They're wet and dirty and stuff like that. And, but you're physically using your body to open and close them. So it gets pretty trying to get into that. You know, you're looking at these things and going, well, how in the world are you doing that? You know, some people say, are you doing that with your mind? And I go, no, I'm not doing it with my mind, because if I do it with my mind, they just have a blank stare on it. You know, so, you know, that's not it. But, you know, I can do something now that I used to not be able to do. I don't know if anybody in here can do it or not. Yeah, here, check this out. I tell everybody I'm really good in flight balls. Yeah. I still have one job left. It's pretty good. Yeah. But no, actually, these are called myoelectrics. They're battery powered. I charge them up every night. Got a little port right there, on and off button. And there is a sensor right here against my forearm, and there is a sensor right here against my forearm. So I am actually applying muscle pressure to their sensors to make them do whatever I want to do. So if I want to open, this sensor here is what I use. And if I want to rotate palm up, I use the same sensor to do that operation also. This sensor here I use to close, and also use to rotate palm down. Now you might go, how are you doing two things with one sensor, right? It's all about the speed in which I hit that sensor. So when I open or close, I feel like I'm easing into it. And when I rotate, I feel like I'm hammering that sensor, you know, like that. Now, is there a lot of frustration level when you start using these things? Oh my God. You cannot imagine the frustration level of those things. But I was so adamant about making these things work. My wife got so irritated because I'd be sitting in the chair and I'd go, and I know you guys can't hear it right now, but they're fairly loud. And she has very sensitive. She says she has sensitive hearing. And she said, when you keep doing that, that drives me crazy. You know? I said, honey, I gotta get better. Get better somewhere else. Go out to the, go out to the barn or something. You know? But these things are so, you know, these are called ETDs, electric terminal devices. A lot of times you'll see me just like this, or a hand or ETD. When I'm at home doing mechanic work or welding or something like that, when I weld, I found out I have to use my body power. Because believe it or not, apparently welding maybe induces some kind of a magnetic field around this right here, and these things will just start taking off doing all kinds of weird stuff. You know, you strike an arc and that thing will start rotating. Before you know it, you got that wire poking you in the nose because it rolled all the way around to you. So I don't use these no more for welding. But for all the mechanic work and stuff I do, I about always use both of these. They are easier to get in the tighter spots, obviously, and they have a lot better grip and more power to hang on to stuff. Hands, super awesome. Because I'm called a high user, which I think that's code for I tear up a lot of stuff, because I tear up, you cannot believe the stuff I tore up. And it wasn't on purpose, it was just, they said I was using it. Believe it or not, they love it when I tear stuff out. They use me now to try out new things, which is awesome. We don't like new toys to play with, right? It's like it almost becomes a challenge. Here, take this. Okay? Challenge accepted. But the hands are so awesome for the simple fact that I love, drinks, stuff like that, sandwiches, I love that. I love eating with my hand. And a lot of times I'll have one of each. But when I'm eating, most of the time I just have both my hands on. But I have learned to adapt and overcome, because it don't matter what I got on, I'll try to figure out how to use it, because there's times that this stuff will be sent. As soon as I leave here and get back home, all this stuff you see here is getting sent off to all get repaired. The lady over there is helping me put my switch back in because it's falling out. My ratchet strap here is busted and won't ratchet no more. And my rotators are shot, because if you see it, I don't know if you see it, it's real jerky. You ever have a fork or something on it and you're trying to get it up there, kind of a gun. So that means now, until I get all these back, I'll be body powered only. I'll be using my body power. But it's no big deal. I know how to use it for everything too. It's just slower, even slower for things. These particular hands, since I've got to try all the hands that they make right now, to me this is the best one they've come up with. It's called a Tasca hand. It's very durable. My first set of hands, I think I broke 9 fingers. Don't hurt now, quite frankly, I'll tell you that. But, you send it off, get it fixed. These have breakaway fingers. So if they get in a bind, they have break loose. And all I got to do is recycle my hand, and they come right back to where it was. So I can tell you right now, it's already saved me about 12 fingers by the times I've had to recycle them. So, and they are waterproof. That's pretty awesome too. Do I want to go swimming in them? No. But it's kind of nice if you get caught out in something like this, that you don't have to worry about it now as much. Because used to, I was worried about getting caught in the rain. And not only that, maybe short circuit, I don't know. I never done that. But these particular hands, that's a grass pattern they call lateral grip or key grip. That pattern right there, and then, let's see, that I can switch over real quick to that grip right there, that's a grasp. Believe it or not, them 2 patterns right there get me through about 80% of the stuff I want to do. Now, if you want to go into something a little more special, I have grip patterns like a pinch. That's pretty handy. Them tortilla chips at the Mexican restaurant? Yes, sir. Awesome. I'm just saying. Believe it or not, that's a weird looking grip, isn't it? That is my fork or spoon grip. I can lay a spoon, and honestly, because I've got to use all the hands that I got to use, none of these hands will get a hold of the spoon and fork. They move around on you or poke out the back or whatever. But because of all the hands I got to use, I found one hand that was pretty good, but they weren't to this level yet. So the spoon and the fork up here lays right across them 2 fingers, lays in this palm, and then when I clamp down, now I've got it here, and I've got it between here and here. Does it sound familiar to you? That's 3 points of contact. You ever heard that maybe in climbing or something? You know what I mean? But I'm telling you what now, if you get that spoon and fork in there, you can stab a big old steak right now and not have to worry about the fork going off on you somewhere. It is awesome. They actually put that set up on the website and stuff. So that's pretty awesome. That is like a tripod, they call it. Honestly, the most thing I use that for is You know how thin some of these water bottles are? Oh my gosh, you ought to see me with one of them thin water bottles. Do not be sitting around me. You'll get wet. But by eliminating 2 more fingers, it eliminates 2 more points that's squeezing on it because I can't feel it, you know. So that narrows it down a lot more, and that's about what I always use for drinking that real thin bottle of water, you know. Plus it makes me look a little more sophisticated. Okay. What we got here? That's one is awesome. That's my sandwich grip. Is that awesome? Here's another one. This is, I can grab a handle of, say, like a drill, and then after I make my initial closing, well, then the only thing that works is that trigger finger. So that's pretty handy for drills and stuff. I am telling you right now, you don't use it for drills. Because you ever get drills, you know, right, especially steel, right before they get ready to go through, they do that. Yeah, I did that and it just ripped my hand right off the end. My hand was still hanging on to the drill when I got done. So I quit using it for drill. Impact gun, stuff like that, not too bad. But a drill, if it gets time out, it's going to jerk his hand right off the end of your arm. That sure is embarrassing. I'm just saying. I can open up, go back to my regular grip, and I'm good to go again. It has a home grip, which is they call a power grip. See how the thumb overlaps the knuckles? You know, that's pretty awesome for heavy stuff. You know, like bags and buckets and stuff like that. So it's super awesome for that right there. You know, people ask me if I have pain 24/7. It never goes away. I still feel like I have my hand. They still feel just as real to me as they did the day I had it. You know, and the pain is a burning sensation. And have you ever had like a chemical spill on your arm? You know, I can think of gasoline. I remember getting gasoline down on my leg one time, how bad that started burning. It's that type of burn. It feels to be like my hands and part of my forearm is just dipped in something. It's just like a chemical burn. And that's 24/7, never goes away. You know, I was off all my pain meds 9 months after my accident because I realized how much clearer my mind was when I wasn't on the pain meds. I mean, substantially clearer. And I would rather be clear mind and a little bit of pain than I would be cloudy mind and no pain. You know, but you know, I also tell people, I said, you know, when I don't notice my pain, when I'm busy, when I'm doing something, when I'm actively doing something. Is the pain still there? Probably. But I have no clue it's there. So that's one of my reasons. I was a busy person anyway, but it's one more reason I like to stay busy doing something all the time. And so I am always constantly doing things. You know, since my accident, I've actually got to go and shake the hands of all 3 surgeons that operated on me. Went back to the university and got to shake their hands. And you should see those on their faces, because they've never seen the end result before. You know, all the patients they'd ever seen. And when I left there, I had bandaged arms, you know, out to bigger than my leg. That's the last time they seen me. They were so amazed at the technology that I had. And you can't believe how much they thank me for coming and sharing that with them. You know, because it gives them hope too, right? That, hey, what I'm doing is the right thing to do. I'm helping people out there. And the other thing is this is going to sound so kind of petty in a sense, but there was 3 things. After 6 months, 6 months after my accident, I was being fitted with prosthetics. And when I was getting these prosthetics, there was 3 things I could not wait to do. I could not wait to pick up a sandwich and eat it by myself without somebody having to cut it up for me. I could not wait to take a beverage, what your favorite beverage might be that you would like to drink. And I couldn't wait to pick it up and drink it without having to do it through a straw. I could not wait to take a steak knife and a fork and a ribeye and cut that thing up the way I wanted to cut it up and eat the piece that I wanted to eat when I wanted to eat it. And believe it or not, I went to On Dynamics on Monday. They had what they call expedited fittings. And Friday of that same week when I left, I'd done all 3 of those things. How awesome is that? How awesome is that? You know, that was just like you hitting your 3 biggest goals in 1 week. It was crazy to me. And from there, it's just like, okay, now what can I do? What can I do now? I cannot wait to get out and do something else. You know, people ask me about driving. Honestly, the only thing I had different with driving is, you know, those spinner knobs. You know, you see them on tractors, semi-drivers and stuff. I have one, but it's just basically a post, and you can remove it from the steering wheel because in the state of Illinois, I don't know if you do this, state of Illinois, it's illegal to have a spinner device on your steering wheel. So I had to go get certified or get my license back with that added to my driver's license so I wouldn't get a ticket by using the spinner knob. But honestly, that post, I can take this one right here, turn it sideways, grab the post, do this. You know, now with my hand, you'd think you'd actually just grab it like that, right? But believe it or not, the way this hand's designed, my pinky and my ring finger start closing up on it sooner than the rest of it. So it tends to start pulling my elbow down to get parallel with that post. So believe it or not, this is the way I drive. I'm driving just like this right here. You will get some flame looks at stoplights. I'm telling you that right now. And they'll go, hey, you know what? I don't care because I'm driving, right? I do not. Hello. Say hello. At home, how many of you, when you get home, can't wait to get your shoes off, right? Man, I can't wait. Hot day. These arms are no different. I cannot wait to get home and get these arms off. They're like them old hot tall lace-up boots. Can't wait to get them off. But you know, we have our home set up right now that I can do everything I want to do in the home without my arms on. You know, Denise has got all the food and stuff that she puts in her refrigerator. She's got kind of a bowl with a big tab on where I just pop it off with on the edge of the counter. You know, I have a little band on my arm that I put a spoon for the toothbrush in and just go to town, you know, and all that stuff. Now, I'm back to usually a straw when I'm there in the house, you know. So if I want a cold beverage or whatever you might think you might like to drink, I usually do that before I go in for the evening. But, you know, one of the most awesome things I have, and I don't know, I'm sure it's the highest tent bathroom in Wayne County. I mean, this bathroom is awesome. This thing has got shower heads everywhere. It's got sponges at different angles with the soap dispenser on them and stuff. And I'm telling you, I think my back's cleaner now than when I had hands. Because I mean, them sponges, you can get every angle, you know. It's something to look at if you got hands. I'm just saying, it's something to look for if you do have hands. You know, and a little seat to sit down on. Believe it or not, I do a lot of my soaking up with basically a scaled down car wash bit. You know, because that car wash, I slip it right over the end of my stab, get it soaked up, and I get most places, and then the sponges get the rest of it. And get rinsed off and get this. You know, walk over in the corner of my shower, punch on this button, full length body dryer. Oh my gosh. I mean, it cuts out the warmest, hottest air, super fast, forceful air. You know, it's just like you're in the car when the car washes. You know, if I had to compare it to something, I think it would be something like probably riding a motorcycle on a hot summer day naked. Not that I've ever done that. You know, but I'm just saying, I think it'd be something kind of similar compared to that. But man, it is awesome. But I'm telling you what, I don't know if any of you ever heard of one of these. Have you ever heard of a bidet? Huh? That guy's a country boy. I never heard of a bidet in my life. And I'm telling you what, hey, I'm just thinking, you guys getting older, something to look at. Everything's pretty awesome. You know. But I have been running this bidet for about 2 weeks, and so I had the system, you know, push that button, and I tell you, it took me forever to push the button, because, I mean, who decided to do that? You know, there wasn't like nothing on there that said place cheeks here so you knew where it was going to shoot, right? So I was literally about even pushing that button. But I finally got to it to push the button, and then this nice, gentle wash or whatever, and I've been running it for about 2 weeks, and accidentally pushed the button twice, and I'm telling you what, that thing turns into a high-pressure jet. I mean, it'll make you cough, if you especially not ready for it. And I tell you what, but I'm telling you what, it will clean anything in the vicinity. I'm just saying. And get this, when I get done, I push another button, I got a dryer. I want more warm, dry air. You know, warm, dry air, slip-on shoes, elastic, I like a lot more than I used to. You know, so when I'm at home, I can do anything. So how blessed am I to be able to have all that stuff and do all that stuff? You know, I can't imagine what it's cost to get me to that point. I know the first set of arms that I got, the body powers, the Mayos with the hands and the ATDs, I asked my prosthetist, I said, you know, if I was going to have to, say, insure them for some reason, what kind of mat would I buy? He goes, I can tell you right now, there's $400,000 in that bag. I tell everybody there's no way I'm worth that, but I'm so blessed I got it. You know what I mean? Those $400,000 made me fully independent. So it's awesome. Let's see, do I have a volunteer? Maybe one of the princes. Joey. Oh, did you get volunteered? Come on up here for a second. I was going to show just a few things. I'm going to power off, right? But you know, I told you I've got hands for each one, and ETs for each one, but you wonder how in the world I change them out. Why, what's your name? Joey. You're kind of a big guy, aren't you? Maybe I need some more. What I want you to do is just grab a hold of that thing and just start twisting. Just grab the whole body of it. Now you understand why that drill that gets hung up? It does this right here. And that part right there is still hanging on to my drill. But believe it or not, I can do all that myself. I put these on by myself every day, or change them out, whatever I need to do. But that wasn't bad, was it? Okay, now just kind of push it back on, and give it a little bit of twist. Okay, hold on just a little bit, I'll twist on it. I'm going to start yelling at you. Now don't take offense if I start yelling at you, okay? I just gave that speech, right? Huh? There we go, I think you have that. Cool. Awesome. You know, you see these ratchet straps I have? Them things were awesome. You know, believe it or not, I asked my prosthetist, I said, hey Julian, I said, do they make any kind of a ratchet strap they can put behind my elbow to kind of cinch it down a little more? He goes, well, what, are you losing them? I go, no, I'm not losing them, but I said when it gets hot and sweaty, they kind of move around enough, and it gets to where I can't make that sensor, so I'm constantly kind of trying to push them on so I can open or close them, you know? I said, I just wanted to put a little snugger. He goes, well, if you're not losing, I don't see any reason why you should be doing that. Well, it was kind of ironic that 2 weeks later, I had both my hands on, and I was pushing washers. See where this is going? Fixing washers, and I was getting pretty close, pretty good, just a few more tosses. So I was with my right one, I'm usually right-handed, so I haul off and through, and my whole arm comes flying off into my stub, and lands out there just, I don't know, about 2 or 3 foot in front of me. No big deal, the washer's still there, so I gathered that washer up in this hand, and so I hauled off and threw it this one. Well, this arm come off, and it went, you remember long sharks, that dangerous game, you know, we used to play as kids? That one come off the end of my stub like a jar. When it landed, it blew a hand completely off its wrist, and it was a test hand. And when we went up there and started picking it up, or I should say the pieces of it up, there was wires hanging out of it. So we gathered all the pieces we could find and threw them in a Ziploc bag. And I remember calling Julian. I said, Julian, I hate to tell you this, but I said, I really wrecked that hand. I mean, it's pretty bad. I'm in a hospital for Lord, I've seen it all or whatever. I said, okay, but I apologize right now. I did not mean to say that. Sent it off to him, and he sent me a text just a couple days later. He goes, yeah, that was the worst one I ever seen. We call that a total. It was totaled out. So anyway, but when I got my arms back, I had ratchet straps on. I haven't lost an arm since with my ratchet straps. Isn't that cool? Huh? Okay. Now, did you say anything about you? Joey? Okay. Grab hold of it. Grab hold of it up here. Yeah. Now you're not going to look at it, okay? I'm going to look at that. Okay. Now just pick a thing up and kind of hold it up like a torch a little bit, so everybody can see it. Yeah. That's going to carry this tap down the head. See, he'll always have a story now that he can share with anybody. If somebody gets to mess with you, Joey, all you got to do is say, "Hey, don't mess with me." I ripped the guy's arm off one time, hit him over the head with it. See, I mean, you won't have that stuff, and you won't be lying, will you? And these guys witnessed it. Okay? So isn't that awesome? Send him up here, let him know. Hey, give Joey a hand. He did an awesome job. Now the couple of reasons I do this right here is because, it gives Joey a good story for one thing, right? But it also lets you know that, as much as I get to do, what places I get to go and the things I get to do, when I get home, this is how I am. This is how it is when I get home. But it's like I said, when I get home, I just soon be like this. When I get in the house, because I do everything I want to do. Like computers, touch screens and stuff, I've got a Tupperware cup that fits perfect on this stud right here with one of them stylus pins in it. You just go to town with it on over. Got the sleeves I can put stuff on to eat with. It's no big deal. But this is it. This is how it is when I get home. And you know what? I'm okay with it because I'm still here, sharing my story. I always look at, they say safety takes longer. When you start a new procedure or something, everybody says, some of that safety stuff, it just takes way too long. And I will agree, starting out, if it's a new practice or some new way you're doing it, it probably does take longer, doesn't it? Because you're getting used to it. I mean, do you have everything you did the first time, you just do it instantly good the first time? It took a little practice and a little time to perfect it, right? To me, the safety does the same thing. It gets there, you just got to persist at it. It will get there. And I look at all the surgeons, the nurses, the OTs, the PTs, my family, friends, community, all these people put a lot of time and effort in me, to get me better, to show me things that I didn't know, and to show me things that I could do at home without my prosthetics, and things I could do with my prosthetics. But all them people that put all their hard time and energy in me, they can only get me to a certain level, right? And then who's it up to finish it off? Me. So I get the choice of either sitting in that rocking chair and feeling sorry for myself, or taking everything that everybody's shown me and put their hard time, energy, effort into me to get better, and go out and do something with all that. You can tell which one I chose, right? I felt that it would have been all in vain for other people to help me if I was still sitting in that rocking chair. And I think a lot of people think that way because, they see it all. A lot of these people do put a lot of time and energy, and the person's still sitting there feeling sorry for themselves. But I look at safety the same way. If they're giving you the tools, safety practices, the things you do, to get to, but they only do it to a certain level, right? They only give you the stuff you need, the practices you need to go, the safety meetings you need to go to. But then who's it up to after that? It's up to you, right? Take it to that next level. And that's the way I look at it. Because I was sitting in Mercy Rehab Center, and I remember getting up one morning, and I was on the second story, and I was looking out a window, and I just had one of those moments of why me? Why me? What did I do to deserve something like this? I was feeling sorry for Jerry. I just said, I won't lie to you, there's days I wish he just took me. Because it'd been so much easier with the pain I was having to go through and the struggle I was having to make. I thought that more than once. But you know, everybody's got their own perspective of what's worse, right? I mean, we don't have to look very far to see if somebody's got worse off than we do. It don't have to be something like this, you know. I mean, cancer, I mean, it can be lots of things that we see it's got worse than us. Well, my perspective of what's worse showed up down on a little garden area outside the hospital there, and it was a gentleman that came through the door in a wheelchair that he's controlling with a straw. And I'm sitting there going, man, you that guy, I can't imagine how it would be to be able to look down, see you had your hands, and see you had your feet, and you couldn't use none of it. And I said, Jerry, you got your feet. You can go do whatever you want when you want to. You don't have your hands, they said they're going to give you something that would give you life. You know, that right there was my perspective of worse. Because I could not imagine that. You know, and like I said, I did not want to have to go through the pain and stuff like that that day. I really was not. Just try to always keep in mind that it can always be worse. You know, the reason, one of the main reasons that I share my story, and one of the reasons I want everybody to get in the habit of watching out for each other and stuff like that is because, have you ever had a feeling like, you know, maybe I should say something but you don't? We probably all had that feeling, right? Well, one of the guys there that day said, and he's told me this later, he says, you know what, for some reason that day, I just almost hollered out, he said, hey, you want to take your gloves up with you? He says, I don't know if you put them on if I would ask you, or you might have put them on if I asked you. He said, but I didn't ask. And he says, you know, that haunted him, that he did not say something. You know, since then, you know, he's seen how I'm doing, going balls of fire and stuff, but, you know, we've got past that, but I'm glad he told me that because I had thought that millions of times myself, of maybe saying something, but maybe you're, you know, all they're going to say, I'm dumb, or I'm going to, you know. To me, even if it's an intuition or a gut feeling, what's the hurt of saying something? What if you're wrong? You know? What if he would have said, throw your gloves on like I did that day? Then I wouldn't be here right now. You know? So always leave us, say something. Even if you got a question, if it's just a gut feeling or just an instinct or whatever, what's the harm of saying something? Because I've done it lots of times myself. And when he brought that to my attention, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I think all the times I wish I would say something. I didn't. So always keep that in the back of your mind. I'd rather be wrong than right? On a situation like that, I'd rather be wrong. But you know, the reason to watch each other's back, to make sure we got our hard hats on, our PPE on, and our practices down where we know, you know, the reason is, you know, earlier when I said there have been times when I wish we didn't move this tournament. You know what I would have missed if he would have took me that day? I would have missed going out to West Virginia the last few years, going on a four-wheeler runs like we was planning to do the day of my accident. I would have missed both of my boys that used to live in almost opposite ends of the country. They both now live within an hour and a half of me. I get to see them all the time. And I would have missed a little granddaughter that just turned 4 years old. And she goes, Papa, let's go. And she'll grab onto a hook, a hand, and stuff. Let's go, Papa. That's the reason we want to watch each other and help each other. So we all get to go home to that right there. I would have missed every bit of that. If I got that wish a time or two, I said I wish it took me. Thank God he didn't listen to me. Thank you. Thank you. Let me share my story.
Well, I think obviously everybody can take something home from this today. There's not a one of us that haven't been like he was that day, thinking about vacation, thinking about what's going to go on the weekend. You know, we got to all be where we are at that moment. Our jobs, even life in general, driving, sometimes we don't get that second chance. Obviously, Jerry's where he's at today. I mean, his attitude's phenomenal. That's why you are where you are today, and I really appreciate you sharing our story. So, Jerry doesn't charge for anything, but I called him, you know, and I talked to him and said, what can we do? Is there a charity or a donation that we can make? So I guess we decided as a safety committee to cut a check for his charity that helped him a lot through all this, which was Highline Heroes. So I don't know if you'd like to say something about that or not.
Yeah, Highline Heroes it's actually a lady. Her name's Tracy. She lives down in Florida. And she lost her husband almost 20 years ago. And this is a woman that is like nonstop. She knows, I don't know how she knows, but she knows every accident almost I think that goes on in this country. And she will immediately send, just like myself, she sent $500 straight to us just so Denise could buy food, get gas, you know, whatever she needed at that time. Hat, t-shirts. I mean, I don't know why linemen don't like a hat and t-shirt. You know, that lifted my spirits just getting that hat. But, you know, she not only helps injured linemen, she will help linemen that she knows that might have problems in their family, like maybe a sick child, you know, they're going through a disease or something like that. I mean, it's just not injury only. If she hears about a lineman having a hard time, fires, she's helped. A lot of times that she just get these big fundraisers and just get a lot of money out of it. One guy had a fire, and they raised a bunch of money just to help resupply the house and maybe give him a place to live for a while. You know, so this lady is like a non-stop. I have not got to meet her in person, but in October I am planning on meeting her in person. We're going down to Georgia to a conference down there, and I'm hoping to get to meet her and share some time with her. Because to me, she's a phenomenal lady. She is non-stop, and it's all about running. It really is. No matter what might happen to her, regardless of injury or anything. So I think it's an awesome charity. I really do. So on behalf of her and me, thank all of you for doing that. I really appreciate it. I know she will. I know she will.
Anybody else got any comments, questions for Jerry?
I wish if you had any questions or anything like that you'd ask. I mean, it don't matter about any of this stuff, accident, anything, because, you know, that's what this is about. You know, I want to share, and if you got any questions whatsoever, I wish you'd ask.
I do. You know, we saw, oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I'll start. Number one, I spoke up, I interrupted you, and the storm didn't happen the way it was, so that was all good. But then my number two was, you know, you're talking about driving, and is that your black Mustang with windows down right out here? But either way, I see that Mustang, and going down the road, you probably have a lot of the same frustrations that I do. Do you have a way of signaling other drivers when you don't necessarily like what they're doing?
Yeah, now, without offending anybody here.
I
mean, I don't have, these what they have, they call passive fingers. So, you know, I can resist one back while I close up or whatever, you know. And so if I wanted to, I might be able to. I might be able to do something like that. But, you know, I'm glad you brought that up. I also got one on everybody else's. You know, I not only do that, but I can get you to center of that. The only thing is when I'm in my Mustang or driving, I cannot ever get operation done fast enough for the person I actually want to see it straight. You know, it's usually the 2 cars behind us getting it. So, yeah. But, yeah. That's funny you ask that because when I was over in Kansas City going to get this done, the first set of hands I got, they were islands. They were good hands. They were very incredible, but they were good hands. But what was funny is my wife was in the process of maybe sending short clips of video back to the guys at work, you know, of me getting fitted with my sockets and stuff like that. What's the first question they ask you when I put my hands on? That one right there. Hey, can you still hear me? Yeah, that's funny. Any other questions?
I just wanted to say, in my time here, in my life in this town, I've known people who got injured here in Eastern Line 9. lost friends, they've done quite well. But you as an individual are an extreme inspiration. And you just lifted everybody up to realize that we take everything in life for granted. We have to relearn. And just let it talk. And I'll remember for life.
Thank you for sharing that with us. That means a lot to me, because that's my whole goal. That's my whole goal. It really is. I know how blessed I am. I really do. I mean, you know, believe it or not, coming out of the office. Believe it or not, I got to do a dream that I had all my life, and especially after my accident, I didn't think I'd ever get to do it. But you know, my goal in life when I started was I wanted to be debt free by the time I was 50. I'm 58 right now. I was debt free by the time I was 50. But you know, when I went on in big storms, you know, where you make that big huge money, I didn't come home by a brand new pickup. I threw it all down on principal on a house. You know, so I was able to get it. So did that help my accident a lot? Yeah, it did. Because I was 52 when it happened. But the thing I got to do is, you know, I've been saving a little bit of money, and then, believe it or not, I had a job the last couple of years being an instructor at college and made some pretty good money. I was able to build a 112 by 54 mortar building. Half of it's a shop with the heated concrete floor, and the other half storage. So I am super proud of this building. It's something I didn't think I'd ever dream of having when I had hands, let alone after my accident. So I'm in the process now of getting my shop ready and stuff, and I cannot wait to start tearing up more stuff. So I'm going to do that. But I usually fix it. Yeah. Any other questions? Joey? Anything? Huh? Okay, I can give you. Now you speak up in the tailgate session, right? Okay.
Thanks again. Let's give him another round of applause.